Yeah, today, now we are going to discuss another key topic, day-to-day activities and daily. Uh, we will get the alerts. Okay, disk full alerts. Okay, the disk is belongs to the Windows team. Okay, but the thing is like if the disk full alerts belongs to the database VM, then the DB team is the responsible. Okay, and the database team has to check why the disk is full, and we have to check why the data is disk is full or transaction log disk is full, why it is full, and what are the files we have. Are we do any cleanup? If we're not going to clean up, what will happen? Those things we can discuss. The thing is like, as I mentioned, the disk alerts are primarily for the Windows team, but the same as the major role important for the database team for the database servers. So disk full alerts will get the based upon the threshold what we set in the monitoring system. So here, if you set the threshold 80%, 90%, 70%, 70% means if you have a 1 TB disk, okay, 1 TB for 30% is how much? Almost 300 GB, right? So you have a 1 TB disk. If you doesn't have 300 GB, we will get the 30% means 300 GB, right? Yes. If it doesn't have 300 GB, we will get the alert. Suppose if you have a 100 GB, the threshold you set as a 10%. That means that the disk is 90%. That means 90 GB reach. We have only 10%. We will get the alert. The threshold is 10%. If you set the disk threshold 20%, suppose the disk size is having 100 GB. If you reach the disk 80 GB, it will send the alerts to the DB team and as well as Windows team, the disk full alerts. Suppose if you set the 30% threshold, that scenario, if you reach the 70%, like 70 GB is crashed, then we'll send the alerts to the infra team and the Windows team as disk is full. Suppose here I have a disk having 200 GB. I set the alerts. Send me the alert that disk having free space less than 10%. 200 GB, 10% is how much? 20 GB. Suppose I am having here out of 196 GB, I am having 18 GB. That scenario will get the alert like disk full. Why? Because we set the threshold 10%. Here I have 200 GB. I set the threshold 20%. That means if I see the below 40%, like 39 GB, 39.5, 38 or 36, what are the value below 40 GB, we'll get the disk full alerts. That scenario we need to check. Why we need to set the threshold with this time period? Why? Because if you send the alerts prior to filling the entire disk, if you get the notification, so that we can log into the server and we can check why the disk is filling. So we have a ample time to troubleshoot to resolve the disk full. Suppose if I did not set the any disk threshold, what will happen? It will take entire disk space. Then what are the database inside we have? Those will become, the users will get complaints. The users not able to insert the data, and the users not able to modify the data. Why? Because what are this database files we kept in the E drive that was full, having 0 MB free space. That means there is no space to keep the files inside that particular drive or data file. So that is the reason the organizations to organizations, they will keep the disk threshold alerts. Some organizations will keep the 70% normal alert, 80% they will keep the critical. Once we get the alerts, how you are going to resolve the issue? So here we got the alert threshold that disk having, there is no space. How can we check it? So once we get the threshold, you are logged into that particular computer and go to that particular drive. And if you see here some error warning, like this volume having some red color, and we don't have space, free space inside the drive. So what we need to do? We need to check which files are occupying more space. Is there any kept in the unwanted junk? We need to check. So here, if you go here, we can see this many files. By looking at the files, we cannot tell which folder and which files occupying more space. So that scenario, what we need to do? We have to go and each and drive, we have to right click and we have to go for properties. Then we have to check which files occupying here. If you see here, the space is occupying E drive. I have to go for properties. And then I have to check for what is the files. Why I'm getting here. I have to go here. Click here. Yeah. So data drive, how much is occupying? See, 59 GB is occupying here. And I have to go on each and every drive and like folder, or maybe I have to look for each and every file, which file occupying more space. So here, why I'm not getting here? Because this file I kept as like a file share, and I have given some kind of some permissions in the disk level. That is the reason I'm not getting here. But inside the folders, I need to look for how much inside, how much occupying rate. Suppose here I having only 10 folders, I can estimate and look for each and every folder which file occupying more space. Suppose if you think about, I have 100 files, 100 folders. How can you estimate which file occupying more space? So that scenario is very difficult to identify the which file, which folder occupying the more space. That scenario, we have one exe file. That is a free download. You can go and download and you can run that file. That file, it will tell folder by folder, root by root, which file occupying more space. So generally the people, if you don't have that file, what you need to do? You have to go each and every folder to get the file information, or maybe you have to go to inside each and every drive and you have to look for the files information, which file occupying more space. That will take more time, right? So what I'm going to do, I have a software, I have a exe file. So win direct stat. So what it will happen? Windows level directory statistics. Which folder, which drive you are going to scan, and you can and provide the drive level and folder level which file is taking more space. This is the free tool you can download from the Google. So let me run this file. So I got the alert, E drive is full, and I want to check which file and which folder occupying more space. Just I will run it, this file as a run as administrator. It will ask yes. Then it will ask what are the files, what are the drives attached to that particular VM, which drive you want to scan it. So I got the alert for E drive. I'm going to scan it. If you want to scan it, scan for C drive. If you want to scan it, E drive, select here, remove this one, and highlight this E drive, go for click OK. So here it is going to scan, and it will provide the folder by folder and files by file for the size. So here, if I go here, I have a folder virtual machine VMs that is occupying 28 GB, and I have one more folder occupying 18 GB. I have one more folder that is occupying 16 GB. I have one more file called occupying 3 GB. I have one more folder called M drive that is occupying 2.4 GB. So it is giving the folder by folder size. If you want to know inside the folder which file occupying more space, go and click that folder. Click. Inside the folder having one more folder. That folder having 5 GB. What is that? So here, if you go for directory data, in that directory data, I have subfolders, and it is providing subfolder size also. The main root directory having 16 GB. In that subfolder having files by the data directory wise as well. So inside, if I go here, see Adilab MDA having 2 GB, and Adilab occupying 2.4 GB, and Adilab NDF occupying MDFE. So I have to check by looking at the files. I can estimate why these files are occupying more space. Inside, are we kept any unwanted junk? We have to check. Suppose here, if I go for Adi files, see here, I kept lot of backup files, and I need to check, do you want to really these backup files are need or not? So just check it by looking at the timestamp. If you feel these files are no more required, and go and delete. If the files are required, then what you need to do? You have to copy the files from this drive to another drive. Then do the cleanup. So if you get the disk alert, just go to the drive. If you don't have this software, go for each and drive, each and folder, each and files. Look for which is taking more space. If you have the software, if it doesn't have also, go and download and run it, and check it which folders are occupying more space, then take the action accordingly. So here, if you have the backup files, what you are going to do? You are going to delete it. So here, I don't have any, do the cleanup. Then what you need to do? You have to inform the Windows team to expand the drive to get rid of the drive storage alerts. I have the do the cleanup, but I cannot do immediately. Suppose I kept the test database, okay, to that particular E drive. So test database occupying 20 GB. Okay, but in the same drive, we kept the data production database as well. If you are not going to move test database, what will happen? Production database will go to shutdown, right? So that is the reason we have to move the test database from one location to another location. So using alter command. Oh, previously what I discussed, like I'm going to explain detach and attach, right? So once this complete, I will explain detach and attach. So here you think like this database occupying more space. This is in a test environment or maybe in a development environment. That scenario, you can move it. Just inform the application team and run the alter command or maybe detach and attach method to the new drive. Like that, we have to do the disk cleanup. So here I'm having only data files, that is having production files. I don't have to move a chance to move the files from one location to another location. But I can see the some backup files. What I'm going to do, I can go and delete the backup files. Come here, right click and delete, shift delete. If you're not going to shift delete, what will happen? It will delete, but it will keep into that particular drive recycle bin. Recycle bin also, it will give the location. So that is the reason. If you want to delete, go and shift delete. Control A and shift delete. So we deleted. So if you have any files, junk files are there, delete it. Before deleting, we have to double check. If the backup files are needed, then we have to copy to the another location and delete it. So come here. Just close this one and run one more time. Right click, run as administrator. Click yes. Then go for scan it. Scan it. So here, where is the backup folder? See, previously the backup files are occupying 3 GB. Now there is no 3 GB, right? So this tool is giving very flexibility by the folder by file, folder by folder, and files by file, which file occupying more space. If you want to delete, you can delete directly here also. Right click, delete to recycle, delete to now it to delete. Right click, delete. Delete. So like that, we have to, if we get a disk full alerts, we have to check the drives is belongs to data drive. Then data drive disk or log disk. Just we have to check inside which files are occupying more space. If you don't have any cleanup, then we have to go for other approach. Extend the drive or maybe moving the files from one location to another location. Okay, this is the to taking the actions for the disk full. Okay, so the disk full, for taking the actions, we have one more actions, kind of like shrinking and moving the files from one location to another location, or expanding the E drive. Expanding the drive will taking care from the Windows team, and moving the files from one location to another location, database team. Okay, and shrinking the files. Okay, if it is transaction disk, then we can shrink it. So next discussions, we are going to discuss about the shrink as well. So let me stop this recording. Let me explain one more procedure, right? Like a previous discussion, I explained only for alter command. What I said, I can explain for a attached method, moving the files from one location to another location. So we can explore that option. Why? Because I want to move we got the disk full alert. I want to move the test database from this drive to another drive to get rid of the disk full alerts. So moving the files, next topic, we can go for data attach method within 5 minutes. Okay. Let me stop this recording. You can ask the questions. So stop recording.